There you go.
There you go. That's the issue right there. You get to make the choice to do whatever it is that you want to do. You don't get to choose the consequence. Somebody else will choose those for you. You know,
But
whether
then
you
they'll
go out here and commit a crime or a judge or whatever. Go ahead.
But then they'll complain about the consequences.
Oh,
This is the irrationality of it all. It's like, how dare you hold me accountable? How dare you hold me?
Social and political commentary from a Christian male perspective.
here in America, we have the right, because we have that First Amendment, and we can say anything. You can be super reckless, right? You can say anything about the president, any congressperson. In China, they don't have those same rights. They don't have the ability to do that.
Right.
So the people there, I've seen a few clips. I'm sure you have as well. There's a few out there on TikTok and things of that nature where they're talking about the handbags and and all these things.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
You're seeing some of the some of the warehouses, they are factories, they've been shut down and things of that nature. But there's very, very, very limited information, out there, that is able to get. And I think they're using that against us. But I'd like to point that out to say that just goes to show you how good we have it here in this country, that you, as a regular citizen, have the ability to say, you know what, I don't like what's going on, and I don't like what the president is doing. You have the right to do that. You'll be in some concentration camp or something like that over there.
Right. You'll be unpersoned. No, and I
Seriously.
agree. Like, we can disagree with what we can not like America, but brothers and sisters, you can't do the stuff that y'all do here. All that protest and all that mad reckless stuff y'all doing. Go to wherever and try it. For crying out loud, go to South Korea. Ask Johnny Somali. Go to South Korea and act a fool like you be acting. It's not gonna work. So now that's the freedoms that we have here do require people who are righteous and just in order to operate properly. But even with that, you cannot argue that we don't have a great system here, because there's not. Pick another country, and I'll wait. With all our ups and downs, all our foibles, all our problems, you're not gonna find a better country that allows you to freely operate, to assemble freely. Most of you all went to church on Sunday, worship with your families in your church community. You didn't have to duck and weave and sneak through the back door and go through an alley. No, you just rolled up at church. I mean, that's crazy. You try that in China. Try it. Try it in Dubai. Try it in Bangladesh. So it's kind of wild, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, dude, right now you have Christians being persecuted in different places around the country, around the world right now.
All over, like, and the amount of persecution is staggering. I mean, there's not 10 minutes in any given day that a Christian is not murdered. Not 10 minutes that goes by, and that's insane. So miss me with the alphabet mafia and your persecution. Miss me with you not using my proper pronouns. People are being deleted on a regular basis for their Christian faith. So, and we're just completely oblivious to it. To it.
Well, that's because we live in a bubble,
We live in a super bubble.
We have it so good over here. I don't know if you know this. I was in the military earlier in my life as a young man. I was in the Navy, and I got a chance to sail all over the place. I've been a lot of places.
Appreciate your service, man.
As a young man, that's when I realized we have it really good. Really good. As a 19, 20-year-old young man, I was like, oh man, because you think you've seen poverty because you may have lived in the projects, or maybe you quote unquote lived in the hood, or maybe you lived in a trailer park or something along those lines. You thought you seen poverty. You haven't seen poverty. That's not poverty. You know what I'm saying?
Facts and evidence, absolute facts. But no, I agree with you, man. If you travel just on vacation, we have it good here. But you know what? We got it even better now. We got it even better now, Brother Wise. Yeah, because we got Brother Denzel in the building. What's happening?
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on, Mr. Denzel? How you doing this morning, brother?
Hey man, good to see you, brothers, and good to hear you all.
Good to have you.
Yeah, appreciate you pulling up this morning. All right, let's get it going, man. I want to share this video with you guys, and this is about Shannon Sharpe and his situation. But the conversation that I really want to have is not necessarily about Shannon Sharpe, but really about man's lack of discipline that we're seeing happen time and time again, in this nation, from some of our celebrities and just from regular Joes out there with this lack of discipline.
Gaddy and Tony Busby want $50 million.
$50 million? And who you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?
This is a shakedown.
Don't worry about it, Gaddy.
Well,
Nothing's on the screen.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
I might choke you in public.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine.
Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs. Let me tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your ass and get you an old bitch out there.
Well, what, Gabby?
You're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
I might choke you in public. Big black guy chose small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what they think you did to me.
That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey, Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself.
I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not gonna act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit ass down in 2 weekends.
You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and fans know exactly what this is about, and I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I always do.
You take your ass and get you an old bitch out there that can love you old. You're trying to hang out with these young bitches and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it.
Damn, Mo.
When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, bitch, listen, I need you want some money to go to Starbucks?
Yeah,
because I can't go no further. If you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's gonna say, hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter, because that's gonna get your energy back up.
Yo, the internet's undefeated. The internet is undefeated. Goodness gracious.
Undefeated. But in light of this conversation today, that video was hilarious.
Yes, it was.
It is. It is. But again, I don't want to. I know everybody's hashed out this particular situation with Shannon Sharpe. Everybody's hashed it out. But my question to you guys is, and we'll start with you, brother Jason. When will men learn? Because this isn't a black man or white man thing. This is just a man thing. When will men learn that the lack of discipline could cost you everything?
I think we are on the on-ramp to getting to that place. We are currently on the on-ramp and get ready to go to 285 and jump on the highway of getting to that place. We realize that we must be disciplined and we must be aware. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just say that, every man should just run out there and go get married tomorrow. I think the way Monique said it, albeit it was funny, albeit it was comical, I do think that was probably the truth for Shannon Sharpe. She probably knew something more than what you need to go get you a woman that's going to be there to hold you down and stop chasing these little 26-year-olds. I mean, that's serious. But I do think we need to be mindful of, sure, we can go put it wherever we want to put it. If you got enough money, you got enough pull, you can go just do all kinds of stuff. The problem is, look at how this has ruined men. Just go down the list. We can just go down the list in the last 10 years. How many men have been ruined because they don't have discipline with their Johnson? And they're out there just putting it wherever they want to put it. It's almost like the book of Proverbs 5, 6, and 7 were almost written directly to us. That, don't go chasing after them. If God's word wasn't so clear, I would think that we were just men we had no guidance, we had no North Star, but his word is right there and it's clear what ends up happening. You'll be turned into a crust of bread and unrighteous men will eat from your labor. Is that not what Shannon just got $100 million offer and is about to lose half of it potentially because he don't have discipline? I want to hear what you guys say, Denzel.
Proverbs 25:28. He that has no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. The Bible has a lot to say about character and about discipline. And we are in a, and I don't think it's just black brothers, by the
Mm-mm.
way. I think this is
No.
a human thing. You got a lot of Negroes out there, white, black,
White
Chinese,
Negroes.
Mexican. I mean, people are just, they don't seem to want to take responsibility. They want to do the crime, but they don't want to do the time. They don't
Facts.
they don't want to recognize that there is a thing called accountability. And that accountability is going to bite you at some point if you don't get it right. And I think that our society is based on this. Now, it's like everything is like, do what you want to do, be free. They call that freedom. But see, that kind of freedom has a consequence when you do the wrong thing. I think that this is where the church comes in, and why the church is so valuable. But you have people in the church doing the same thing. Yeah, there's stuff coming out now. I think when will we learn that your sins will find you out? You know, that you cannot be undisciplined and there not be a consequence to it. I mean, this blows the fact that we haven't got this lesson yet is what's blowing my mind. But God's talked about this. Now, last thing I want to say is in James chapter 3, James talks about the tongue. See that the problem doesn't start without the tongue wagging. You know, it doesn't just happen by osmosis. Brothers be saying stuff, and they be talking themselves into situations. James 3 talks about the danger of the tongue. So all I'm saying is that if people would just get back to the word of God, as like my brother said, we would have a lot less problems. I'm telling you, a whole lot less problems.
Oh, we definitely would. But that's a lot of the problem right there, is that we are so far removed from the word.
Yes.
That we are. I think you mentioned it, Mr. Giselle, that do as thou wilt. We're whatever makes you feel good, and people consider that being freedom. And yeah, you have free will and you have the ability to make whatever choice you want to. You don't get to choose the consequences, though.
There you go.
There you go.
That's the issue right there. You get to make the choice to do whatever it is that you want to do. You don't get to choose the consequence. Somebody else will choose those for you.
But
whether you go out here and commit a crime or a judge or whatever. Go ahead.
But then they'll complain about the consequences. This is the irrationality of it all. It's like, how dare you hold me accountable? How dare you hold me? What's wrong with you, dude?
Let me just jump in, because I appreciate this. Thank y'all for allowing me to flex this out. Proverbs 5, 12, 13, and 14. And it goes exactly along with what you just said. And the young man has been out there wilding out, and the consequences have come for him. Listen to what he says. He says, how I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers or incline my ear to my instructors. I'm at the brink of utter ruin in the assembly of the congregation. Notice what you don't hear here. Let me hold on real quick, do a quick count. There are 9 personal pronouns used in this quick little 3 verses, and they all are directed at me. I did this, my fault. He ain't blaming the white man. He ain't blaming the system. He ain't blaming his granddaddy or systemic nothing. He is blaming his own rock head. And so what I'm seeing here is that we don't have accountability. Like this, again, I just submit to y'all Proverbs 5, 6, and 7. Read it, memorize it, get it tattooed on your head, something. But I really think it will help you see this is our problem. This is our problem in 4K.
Amen.
You're absolutely right. Wow. So it's like, how many different cases, how many different situations need to be, put out there for the forefront? Because the thing is that these are people that actually got a little name enough for it to be talked about, on media for those of us, for us to get out there and talk about. But how many people, go to work and they just got a regular job and they're messing with somebody that they work with, knowing that you got a girlfriend or you got a wife at home, but this is your quote unquote work girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're putting your livelihood on the line for, something that, a little bit of fleeting pleasure. I mean, it's ridiculous. And the lack of discipline that's out there, it saddens me, but you also understand that you have predators out there and they're taking full advantage of those people. Like, even listening to the Shannon Sharp conversation, I mean, I'm surprised that 2 and 2 didn't get together, matching his head and say, she recording this. Because the way she came across, it sounded like she was trying to saying certain things. And he couldn't see it. It's crazy.
But I think also, and I've said this before, I don't think Shannon Sharp he positioned himself as very disciplined and this, that, and the third. He was mad reckless. Like, no, Shannon he was super reckless. And sadly, this has come back to haunt him. I do think it's probably a shakedown. I do believe that there was probably a lot of being consensual. But sir, at some point, I don't expect you, I mean, he's 3 years older than me, to be acting like you're 23 years younger than me. That don't make no sense. Like, at some point, I agree with Monique, bro, go get you somebody that's going to hold you down, marry her, and be quiet and just lay low and keep doing what you're doing, but stop doing being out in them streets because it's just crazy.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Every time I see one of these stories, it really saddens me because even when Shannon Sharp got out there and he spoke, he was like, oh, this Busby, just trying to take another black man down. But had you not put yourself in that position to be taken down, this wouldn't be a conversation. You opened the door up for him by, or you open the door up for this with your lack of discipline.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's not just his lack of discipline, but you have to understand. You have to blame these women too. You have to understand that these women are loose and they are loaded and they are looking for somebody to bring down. I mean, it's just the society today is like that's becoming the norm. It's like a Sodom and Gomorrah thing going on. It's sad. There's a story about your sister that was a lady that was out there trying to break the Guinness Book of Records of how many men she could sleep with in one day. I mean, the debauchery is now that's going to come back to bite her one day, and she doesn't even realize it. I think Candace was trying to get her to come to grips with what the consequences were. She didn't want to hear it, and her mother was involved with it. Our mother was part of it. The parents were involved. This again, we are living in the last days, and the debauchery. I mean, I always say that we Christians have our work cut out for us, and which is why we have to live such a high standard. And this is why I always put a lot on us because even among us sometimes we want to poo-poo our accountability with why it's so important and why God speaks so much about us living holy and being righteous and being consistent in our holiness and righteousness, because there's so many that's just playing the field and they're doing what they want to do and then they want to tag Jesus onto it. So Absolutely. Our light has to be so bright, it has to be so consistent that they can look on us. Like Peter said in the book of Acts, 3rd chapter, too many Christians can't say look on us because we know that we got skeletons in our closet that we don't want to confess. And eventually it's going to come out. So we got to be quiet. We don't want to say anything. I thank God for brothers like us that are out talking about this. Even if you find some dirt on me, listen, pull it up, bring it out. I'll talk about it, because I'm not scared of anything because God already knows. And the more honest I am, more transparent I am, the more dedicated I am to truth, the less you can use my bad past to incriminate me. As a matter of fact, if you get a chance to look at my pastor's messages last Sunday from Perfecting Faith, he talked about his past. And the powerful message. He talked about how important it was not to let your sins of your past be hidden so that people can use it against you. Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
And he talked candidly about it. And I mean, I saw tears in brothers' eyes. I'm saying that this is what it's all about. Pure honesty, truth. And Brother Wise, I meant to say this when I first started, because your commentary you were doing before you came to this message. You are so tight in your commentary. You are so tight in your commentary. And you are hitting some very key points. I really appreciate the way you lay out your commentary when you're talking about these things. Truth is so important, man. I love you guys. I love you, brothers. And I think that we need more of us out here doing this kind of thing, man. I just got to say it because truth is what helps people. Candidness is what helps people, not games. Not trying to excuse things and alibi things. The truth is what's going to be. Jesus said, it's the truth that's going to set men free. And the truth, knowing the truth that's going to set men free.
I agree 100%.
And thank you for that. We got a super chat I want to read. And shout out to Crystal Beyond Label. She says, good morning, ARP family. People need to understand that God's word is living, breathing God for us. We would avoid so many pitfalls if we follow it. Any area without God is spiritual blindness. You're absolutely right there. And thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. I want to move to the next subject here. I don't know if you guys mentioned this. I don't know if you watch football. We haven't had that conversation. I'm a big football fan. Grew up down south, man. So if you know anything, and Jason, I know you down there right around where I grew up at. Football is everything. High school football is huge. It's huge. But, NFL draft just happened Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's a lot of hoopla around the draft, but really around one player. And Shador Sanders, we don't talk about it. But it's not so much that, he didn't get drafted, he did get drafted and where he got drafted, but it's the rhetoric around him being drafted. And you got a lot of folks out there. You got the race hustlers out there saying that it's racist that he didn't go in the first round. I want to share this clip with you guys, and then we'll get into it and talk about it. I really love to hear what you guys think about this.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
To be honest, this Shador Sanders conversation is pissing me off, like badly. Because it's such a good example of how little people actually understand white supremacy and racism, and yet somehow everyone thinks that they are experts in white supremacy and racism to be able to be the arbiters of what isn't racist what isn't white supremacy, especially from people who have never experienced white supremacy in certain ways, who have never considered white supremacy in certain ways, right? Just because you can say, oh, it's wrong for the police to barge into a woman's home while she's asleep and murder her, or it's wrong for the police to kneel on somebody's neck until they suffocate and die. Okay, those are not the only ways that white supremacy and racism manifest, especially not in the daily life of black and brown people. And this is something that I think also because people internalize these things so much, these systems and these constructs and this history, that even a lot of black and brown people don't understand white supremacy and racism, not truly. So what I've seen a lot in relation to Shador is this idea of, well, he's so egotistical, we got to humble him. Well, that's interesting, because I don't see the same narrative, about white quarterbacks. I've seen that actually be something that's a positive, right? Oh, they have edge to it. We want our quarterbacks to have edge. So there's that. But largely, again, the idea of needing to humble or break down a black person is racist. It's racist, right? The idea that you want to dilute an unapologetic young black man who has bravado, who, again, has deep confidence, sometimes maybe erring on arrogance, but that you feel like you need to humble, and not just humble, but now humiliate him, a top 10 Heisman candidate. It's white supremacy, right? You have a bunch of team owners, right? Largely white men, colluding to break down a young black man. Oh yeah, no. We're gonna teach this boy a lesson. That is racism. That is absolutely racism. And when people bringing up things like, oh, well, other black quarterbacks have been drafted, other black players have been drafted. Yes, it's a largely black league that is also a racist league, right? Did Colin Kaepernick not happen?
Come on.
Thank you. I can't take much more.
Thank you so much. I should have put it in the private chat. Like, just stop, man. I'm about to start. This is like, that should come with a self-harm. That should have came with a self-harm warning before you listen to this.
Good Lord.
The first 2 draft picks were black. What are you talking about? You're just dumb. I'm sorry. If you obsess about race, and I'm going to use race, if you obsess about it, if you find the boogeyman and the Ku Klux Klan under every rock and behind every tree, you will eventually leave the Christian faith. You will have to. So if you're somebody now if you're somebody who's not a Christian, you're going to keep pagan it. So pagan's going to keep pagan it. But if you're somebody who professes to be a Christian and you obsess about it, you're always looking for the Ku Klux Klan under every rock, you will eventually start leaving the faith. And you'll start saying stuff that is as ignorant as that young man right there, that racism is everywhere. I've heard people say that racism is in the air. I've done reviews of people saying they were racist in utero, in their mother's womb. You will start saying insanity because you have now, and you're literally looking for it everywhere. So this right here is egregious, because you want me to believe, because this is why I say that this is insane. You want me to believe that these owners, these men that are worth multi-billions of dollars, don't want their teams to be successful because there's another black man on the team, when they already got 9,500 black people on their team already. They don't want this one because why? That's stupid. And you sound ridiculous, my guy. No, they want to win just like every other team wants to win. But you want me to believe that they colluded to not take on Shador Sanders because he was black, but they did pick the other black. Was he the wrong shade of black? Like, no, you mocha. No, we only want dark chocolate this week. We only go with milk chocolate. This is ridiculous. But see, this is what happens when you only obsess about that stuff. And I mock it and make fun of it because you look ridiculous when you could be just easily. Now, I do want to talk about why I don't think they picked young Sanders, but I'm going to let Denzel go.
Well, I have to 100% agree with you. This is insanity, but it is a normalized insanity now. It's unfortunate that everything has to be race, and it just exonerates you from all other kind of stupidity, and I think that you have to base these people off. And I had a conversation with my nephew for 2 hours when I was out in Virginia about the same topic, and I finally got him to convince him that he was incorrect, but it took 2 hours to do it. The fact that you can't acknowledge that this brother said things, and his father may have said things to piss these owners off and to make them not want to do whatever they did, that did not have anything to do with his color. The fact that you could not see that is scary, because it shows a lack of a willingness on the part of a lot of black people to face simple truth, that you can do something wrong and be punished for it and have nothing to do with your blackness. Brothers go to work every day and get fired because they don't do their job, and the owner has to be racist because he fired you. it's not sensible. It doesn't make any sense. But again, it is a comfortable excuse that they're using. I don't let them get away with it. Not in my presence.
Let me jump in. Let me jump into that.
Amen.
We've allowed that comfortable excuse for too long.
Yes.
And I call it the highly melanated. We need to invite, come on up here to the front of the church.
Please.
We need to get all of them up here to the front of the church and give them a good, thorough, because we allow it.
Yes,
It doesn't matter if the Patties and Tommies and Sallies and them down the street allow it.
Right.
We allow it, and we know that we're wrong.
Right.
We know we're wrong.
Right.
So we need to go ahead and just say, come on up here to the front of the church. Let's go ahead and have a conversation. We need to hold ourselves accountable and be accountable and say, I'm a bad worker. I'm a bad employee. I'm a terrible employee. And I just so happen to be a bad black employee. But and just admit it, and then get and leave all that other dumb stuff alone. Because when you throw racism into it, people's minds check out. Now, racism don't mean nothing.
Don't mean nothing.
The word doesn't even mean anything.
It's lost its significance. That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it don't matter if you say I got fired because of racism. Okay, rain is wet. I'm like, what did you tell me? You didn't tell me anything. I got fired because I was doing a bad job on my job, man. That's really what happened, man. I was doing a piss poor job.
Showed up to work late a few times, more than what I should have.
I might have showed up early. I might have showed up on time only a few times. Right.
Yeah, that too. Well, the thing is that when people throw out there, it's like, oh, it's racist the reason why you didn't get drafted. It's racist the why you didn't get the job. It takes accountability away from you. You don't have to look in the mirror. You don't have to say, you know what, I could have did X, Y, and Z better.
Differently.
And in reference to this situation here, and I'm sure because they did dial it back about a month or so before the draft actually happened. But if you guys recall, during the Super Bowl week, when Deion was out there talking that, hey, we're going to control this process. We're only talking to certain teams. We're not going to interview with certain teams because I don't want him going there. Those types of things will rub people the wrong way. Imagine going to an interview and you're telling the people when you sit down to interview with them, what you going to do? Now I got a choice to say, you know what? This isn't a team player. This isn't somebody I really want a part of my team because he's already coming in making demands. The other thing that we know about the NFL will tolerate a whole lot of foolishness when you can play. When you are the best of the best, when you're considered the top person, if you're considered the number one pick in the draft, like the top overall, they'll deal with some shenanigans. They will. They'll deal with it because they'll take the talent. But if you go and look at it, now when you get to the real football people, they had Shador as a second round prospect. He was the 40th ranked prospect in the draft. Now, a lot of times these quarterbacks, they get overdrafted a lot of times. And sometimes they'll slide their way into the first round, not because they had a first round grade, but because they just got overdrafted because that's what they do in the NFL. Right. But when you hear the word on the street that, hey, certain teams, he wouldn't take the interview. When you hear that when he showed up to the New York Giants, he was unprepared. When they asked him to get up there on the whiteboard and like draw out plays and diagrams and explain to us why this happened, why that happened, and you were unprepared. And these are things that are starting to come out. Nice. That, hey, he showed up, the interviews that he did show up to, he wasn't prepared for. That's a problem. Not to mention, and one other thing, not to mention is that he played in the Big 12. He played for Colorado. If you look at the first round this year, 95% of the players picked in the first round were from the SEC and from the Big 10, the biggest schools with the best conference and the best players.
Many of y'all know, just story time with Whitaker, many of y'all know I'm a former classroom teacher. And when students were coming up from moving up from kindergarten to first grade and from first grade to second grade, I taught second grade, we knew about their parents. And there was never an instance where somebody wouldn't come knock on your door and say, hey, let me see your roll. Oh, you got little Johnny? Man, his mom is a mess. His mom and grandma and auntie be coming up there acting a fool. Just know. Remember that lady that was cussing me out in the office? Yeah, that's his mom. Oh, bruh, I'm praying for you. That kind of stuff. Never failed. The kid, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm sad to say, my perception of the child is greatly skewed by the interaction that the parents bring to the building. Deion Sanders, I'm sorry. I like Coach Prime, but sir, you were presenting yourself like you were going to be a problem. No owner would want to deal with that. Now, sadly, I can't just say, little Ray, I don't want you in my class because your mom and your grandma are crazy. I couldn't have done that. These owners said, nah, maybe we don't want that. Maybe we don't want all of that attention that you're going to get over on social media and start getting reckless because your son didn't play like you thought, or because something happened. Something didn't go the way you thought it would be. Pops, maybe we don't want your son for that. Add to it the fact that the young man wasn't properly prepared. He didn't come from the conference that maybe would have been most receptive, so on and so forth. So there's some other things in there. And I think the lion's share of the issues lay on the Sanders, whether it be senior or the son's shoulders. Just my little 2 cents.
No, you're right, and I think that Stephen A. Smith nailed it. Also, he did a commentary on it, and he really went off on them. And he did point out that there were some things that Deion said and did that could force the owners to clap back. There was his son's ego. That got in the way. You know, people tend to, especially owners. You know, you don't want somebody in a team that's gonna cause a lot of problems. And sometimes, especially if their problem is not worth the money they're being paid. And he's like hashtagging legend, you know, stuff like that. Like, he's already a legend. He hadn't done nothing yet to make him a legend, other than what his father did. So there are legitimate concerns, and I think that we ought to be fair. But black people sometimes have a tendency of just looking at color, and color becomes the primary concern, and they don't care nothing about truth. I think it's like a religion to them. It's like color has become a religion.
Oh, it is.
You know, and I worship my skin color. Nothing about whether you're right or wrong. You know, just I got your back. Basically, you can kill somebody. I got your back. You know, you can curse God.
I mean,
I got
we're
your
seeing.
back.
Are we not seeing that play out right now? You know, with the Carmelo Anthony situation, are we not seeing it play out? You know, even with the Shador situation, because people say, "Oh, these teams, you know, they're not telling the truth that he wasn't prepared when he showed up for the interview." You know, they're just all colluding against him. But the thing too is that I'll say this, and Jason, with you being a school teacher, you know this, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but the NFL is a very small community of people. Absolutely. They all are 1 or 2, you know, degrees of separation from each other. Like, they all know each other. And if you think that they're not having conversations with each other, you know, about players, about different teams, owners, different coaches, if you think they're not having these types of conversations, because, you know, even in my world, you know, before getting into this, you know, I worked in tech, and it's a real small community. And you start to know the people that work, you know, in these companies, because you'll see on a resume, like, oh, 3 years ago, oh, my homeboy worked over here. And then what you'll do is that backdoor reference. Hey, do you remember such and such? They get that. People don't know that these backdoor references happen. They do.
Right.
They do.
These backdoor references are real.
That's right.
I dare say that they're almost hard baked. They're hardwired into the system.
That's right.
There's no way that I'm not. If I know, like, for example, I know brother Denzel is doing Substack. You were mentioning Substack wise, so I went ahead and got on Substack. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. And I'm like, good, Denzel is right here. I'm going to reach out to him. I need to reach out to him because he does it. I do follow you.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm following you. So just that little bit of connection right there.
Yes.
I might become a Substack maven, right? But this happens in everything, in law, in education, in every field. So it's not unheard of. So the idea that these owners might like, man, that dude is a problem. That dude might be a problem, and we don't need any more problems.
What do you say to the people that say, well, you know, Archie Manning was able to, you know, kind of finagle some things, you know, for his son, you know, specifically they're talking Eli, you know, and no one said anything about the fact that, you know, he used whatever cachet that he may have had to make sure that he was able to, you know, put his son in a certain position. What would you say to that?
I'll jump in. You ready? Show me Archie Manning's tweets, if you don't mind. Can you pull those up for me real quick? Can you show me his Facebook posts about the topic? Archie Manning specifically. I'll wait. Go ahead and go pull them up real quick. I know they're easy to find because they're not. He wasn't reckless like that. And he only said that he didn't want his son to play for one team. He didn't say, he said one team. How many teams are there? There's 30 teams.
I think.
32 teams. So 31 teams he could still play for 31 teams. He just didn't want to play for one team. Deion said I only want to play for 5. He can only play at 5 teams. So he excluded 26 others. That's a whole different game. Yeah. That's entirely different. I don't think anybody's saying that you can't politic for your child's success. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's saying that. What we are saying, however, is that the involvement of the parent does end up causing tension amongst the players, the coaches, the owners, and so forth. That might not be what the team wants. That's really it.
Amen. And also, what scale is he on in reference to Deion when it comes to his legendary position?
I mean, I think Deion from legendary status, I think Deion's definitely much more, because Deion's a Hall of Famer. Archie Manning is not a Hall of Famer.
Correct. So therefore that makes Deion's comments and actions a lot more threatening to the owners than he
powerful, right?
You see? So again, there is a lot of intelligent reasons for what's happening without throwing race in there. And I like my brother, I say we got to stop these race hustlers from using this, because that thing hurts all of us. Because you have to understand that people see all of black people like that, unless you open your mouth and defend yourself, as being race hustlers. because
Yes.
everybody, and I have to be honest, a lot of black people around me, including in the church, are suffering from that condition. I see it everywhere. I sit down, I don't say anything, but I'll sit and listen to conversations among my black brothers and sisters, and I hear them talking a lot. Like every now and then I find one that's enlightened, and they'll say, I agree with you, Brother Monk, but most of the time they just, it's race, and that religion has to be cast out of the church. I'm sorry, it has to be cast out of the church.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing. And Jason, you live where you live at. There's a lot of well-to-do black people that still are using using race as a crutch or a reason why they're not more successful than what they already are, and they're extremely successful, which I find ridiculous.
Wow.
It is gross, but it's almost. I just finished a book about the rare jewel of Christian contentment. I highly recommend, by Jeremiah Burris. I just finished that, and it really points out, man, that God has given us so much, and all we're doing, really, if you really boil down what we're talking about right here, is a 10th commandment violation. It's somebody looking at what Wise has. I'm looking at what Brother Denzel has, and I just want it. It's not fair that Brother Wise has that deep Barry White voice. I'm mad about that. I want that. It's not fair that Brother Denzel has a cool Substack. I want that. And I'm just jealous. I'm bitter. I'm angry. And I'm not satisfied with what God has given me. That's all it is, really. And you'll know it. Listen to anybody argue for reparations. You know good and well that green-eyed monster come out quick and fast in a hurry. So there's so much that we have, and sadly, we're missing the opportunities that we have literally at our fingertips because we're busy looking at other people's pockets.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful point.
Yeah.
Beautiful point.
Well, and in reference to Archie, I will say this, and anybody that has said that, to me, like, oh man, he got the chance to do it. And Jason, you're absolutely right when you said the tweets, the and some of the other posts and things of that nature. I also don't recall Archie Manning getting on any interview saying that we're controlling this, we're doing this. He was really covert about how he went about doing it. And it only came out because you had reporters, I guess, doing their job and reporting saying, hey, this is the word on the street that's going down on the low. He wasn't really boisterous about how he wanted to go about doing it. The other thing that I will say too is that, hey, as they say in the military, rank has its privileges. I think it's the same thing in the NFL. When you can play, last time I checked, Peyton Manning was the number one prospect coming out. Eli Manning was 1A, 1B, with him and I can't remember the other guy that got drafted with him that turned out to be a bust. Ryan something, I can't think his name right now. But he was going to be, one of the first two quarterbacks picked in the NFL, no matter what. That was going to happen. It was considered the best prospect, period. So I think the approach that they took the approach like Shedeur was Deion Sanders coming out, considered the best athlete coming out into the draft when he came out in 89. So he could say, I'm not talking to certain people because he had enough cachet to do so. There you go, Buddha, Ryan Leaf.
Right.
He had enough cachet to do so, and you tried that same approach with a player that didn't have the same type of cachet, who really should have just been grateful for the opportunity to be considered to join the league.
There you go. Wow.
And that's a lot of the problem. And that's, for me, what's really, really gross and disgusting, about the way this whole thing played out, is because you got people out there who believe that he is owed something by the NFL. And to be honest with you, there is not a company, there is not an organization or anybody out there that owe you anything. They don't owe you anything. You're going to earn an opportunity. And what we know about the league is that, hey, it's extremely competitive. And you're competing for, we're also talking about the quarterback position. There's only 32 starting spots.
That's right.
There's only 32 in the world.
That's right. Yeah.
There's only 32 starting spots in the entire world.
That's right.
And you're competing for one of those opportunities. And going into this draft, there was only about 3 or 4 teams that actually needed a quarterback. In the grand scheme of things, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying you got to go in there hat in hand, poor me, but I do think that you need to put on a professional face, and go and try to present yourself in the most positive light possible.
That's right. They both shot themselves in the foot.
That's just my opinion.
Amen. You're right.
And the fact that you have people out there saying that it's racism the reason why he didn't get picked, and not his attitude and not his play on the field. That bothers me, because
me too.
So what are you saying about Cam Ward, who was the number 1 overall pick? What are you saying about Travis Hunter, who was the number 2 overall pick? You know what I'm saying? Both young black men. What are you saying? What are you saying about them? You know what I'm saying?
I ain't talking about them.
Well, then your argument is silly. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you 1,000%. And matter of fact, I heard somebody talk about Travis Hunter. And one of the things, every clip I heard about Travis Hunter, they said he's coachable. He's a good player, this, that, and the third. Everything about his field prowess
Wow.
was positive.
Yes.
I'm like, well, then he deserved every dime he got. And I pray that
and
he
his
continues.
attitude.
Right.
You know how many times you heard about Travis Hunter's attitude?
On the
Man,
field.
this is
Yeah.
man, good kid, on and off.
Wow.
Good kid, man. Gracious when we came to sit down and interview him. Good dude.
Wow.
And the thing is that you guys know this, man. People want to be around good people, man.
Yes, sir.
You want to hire. I've been in positions to hire people. If you rub me the wrong way, I don't want you on my team because you, to me, okay, we got a good thing going over here. The last thing you want to do is hire somebody that's gonna come in and
be a
throw
problem.
that and throw that off.
Right.
Yes, sir, brother. I worked at a college for 30 years, and as a supervisor, I had to interview people for jobs, man. I tell you, I dropped a lot of people really quickly just by talking to them. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me add just back to the Manning conversation. Again, as a former classroom teacher, the worst thing in the world, the very worst thing that you can have happen is have a school where a lot of the teachers' kids actually attend the school. And the very, very worst thing is that the principal or assistant principal's child attends the school. You might as well just go ahead and, because you know that child somehow or another, because everybody else, it was random lottery how you got kids, but somehow or another, that principal's Miss Butterfly's child always ends up in the top teacher's classroom every year. Mr. Caterpillar's child always ends up in the top teacher's classroom. I'm not saying there was any kind of shenanigans. I'm just saying that you can't prove that there wasn't shenanigans,
Right?
Because it failed. They never went in the the first year teacher's class. Never. It was always the vet who had been there forever and a day. So it just seems like, but just we see that there, and nobody would have a problem. Nobody would say anything. But here in this situation, now everybody got a problem.
Yeah, I really want to see. I want to see people pick the racist tropes. You know, I want to see that go away. I don't know if it's going to happen because what we do know is that this race hustle industry. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There's a lot of people that make money on keeping people enraged about this.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about how much money was made over the past 4 days and talking about how Shador didn't get picked when there's brothers all up and down, first, second, third, fourth, fifth round brothers all up and down getting picked. But the one guy that didn't get picked the way you thought or where you thought, all of this, the entire system's racist. And you want to, the NFL is this and the system and the man is against you. We got to stop that, man. Yeah. It's not helping.
The money is a big thing.
But
you're right, brother. The money is a big thing, but it's also religion, like I said. And so that's what's going to be, you can't snuff that out overnight. That's something that's, that's ingrained in people. And you talking to them, I talked to enough brothers and sisters to see how ingrained it was in them. And it was, I've had them actually yell at me, just blow up, just because you suggest that it's something is not racism that they think is racist. I mean, you complete the facial expressions, the octaves of their voice that changes. It's
yeah,
deep.
It does.
It's deep, man.
Well, but the thing is that you have the problem is you have college educated people who believe that this is the case because on these college campuses, this CRT and some of these other things that they're drilling into these guys, these young men and women. It's being drilled into them. And if you work in corporate America, at least, I mean, you're going to see it being pulled out. But if you've worked in corporate America for probably the past 5 years, it's been drilled there. That you're marginalized and you're this. But I'm like, wait, they're paying you $150,000 a year to be here. Like, what's marginalized about that? You know what I'm saying? You're making almost 3 times, the average American. How are you marginalized? I don't get it. But it's coming from a lot of these college campuses. And then you get these people out here that make a ton of money, but yet they still see themselves, as a victim. And the reality of it is, as a man thinketh, so is he. So, if you truly believe that you are a victim and you think it, I mean, you kind of have to be because that's what you think you are. But it's got to go away, man. It really does. It's got to stop.
Otherwise, you're right. It's definitely being pumped on the college campuses, but it's also being pumped grassroots. I was at an event recently. You get around black people and they start talking about what they're going through, and race comes up, and it becomes he's racist, and it's just everywhere. It's ingrained in people. And I think that the only sobering thing to do is that if someone is in a crowd that has enough intelligence to understand what the real problem is, to try to convey it to them, and you have to use wisdom to do that because you'll become a target. They'll hate you for just saying something that's true. They literally hate you and disown you. That kind of thing happens. So this is deeply ingrained. I don't know what the answer is to it, other than, like I said,
that was my next question.
Yeah, each one.
That was my next question to you. Yeah,
it took my nephew. Like I said, took me 2 hours to talk to my nephew to convince him that he was wrong about one specific thing about white power. And it took me 2 hours to talk to him. I don't have that kind of time with everybody. So yeah, but knowing your stuff is number one. That's the answer. The answer is number one. You have to know where you're coming from. You have to know your stuff. You have to have receipts. You have to have receipts. Brother Jay, but what's my brother here? He just
Jason.
Jason.
He often talks about receipts. And you do too, brother Wise. You have to have receipts, and then you have to use the two of those things when you're in your conversations to navigate their anger and their emotionalism, and just nail them with the truth, and hopefully you'll convince them. I mean, it may not happen, but listen, we got to try, right?
Right.
Yeah. Jason, I'll give you the last word on this, man. We're gonna get out of here.
Oh, no problem. I agree, man. Thank you for the conversation. I just tell people all the time, hey, you don't have to know all of the answers. You don't have to know all the answers. Just know how to ask the right questions.
Right.
And if you're presented by somebody with that, just ask them, can you show me where is this? So I might be able to see it. I always tell people when they say that Jesus was a social justice warrior. Okay, really? Can you give me the book, chapter, and verse in context so that I can go home and read it, and I'll come back tomorrow and I will agree with you that Jesus was a social justice warrior. See, I don't need you to eisegete it for me and exegete it for me into craziness. I want to be able to read it myself, so I should be able to come to that same conclusion. So same thing here. Say, okay, you said that every white person is racist. Was your white dentist who cleaned your teeth, was he? Oh, they weren't racist. Okay, so maybe not all white people. Okay, what about the one that not all. So maybe not all white people are racist then, my guy. Maybe you're just having, so being able to ask really good questions.
Yes. And
push back on them. And at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, I'm not going to be able to convince you. It's going to have to be the Lord opening up your mind and seeing that you're logically inconsistent. Amen. And that you're living a life of despair, truthfully, because you're just sitting there, woe is me. I got a field of diamonds, but I'm mad that you got 2 more diamonds than I got in your yard. I don't even know how that works. I don't know. So,
brother, but I know you gave him the last word, Brother Wise, but remember on the phone conversation we had, I said the same thing to you. I was talking about the questions, asking the right questions, right? So that's a blessing, Jason. You confirmed what I was saying to Brother Wise on the phone a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And when you do start asking those questions, a lot of times they kind of give you that blank stare, because you're not going to really get an answer, not right off the rip. You get that blank stare because I don't think they've ever been challenged like that. I think they're so used to that echo chamber. They're so used to, oh yeah, it is, and it is. And when you start asking questions, they don't know how to handle that.
Let me add one more thing. I apologize, bro. Somebody said this is the best panel, and I agree with them. I agree with Brian M. right there. This is the best panel. When you ask a question, I'm going to tell you this right now. Be comfortable with just letting them sit there. So I ask you the question, and I'm just going to sit there. Don't let them off the hook. Do not let them off the hook. Don't. If you say, show me where so-and-so has been racist. And just say, don't let them off the hook. Let them sit there and flounder and flip, but they are going to have to answer that question. No. I want you to tell me how Jim Bob is racist. I'll wait. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and flip your phone. Show me where he's been racist. And then, because really what the problem is, the real problem is most people haven't been challenged in their ideas. Nope. So this is sadly what happens to a lot of our children when they go to college. They know that they're supposed to go to church. I'm Christian because I went to church, but they've never been questioned about, okay, wait, hold on. Jesus died in this, that, and the third, or you believe in a talking donkey. You believe that Jonah was swallowed by a whale, all those kind of things like that. And then they get challenged and then and then it starts crumbling. Because they've never been challenged. I ask my kids all the time. I challenge them like I'm a doggone atheist. Because they're not going to go. My big girl about to leave in 3 months. You're not going to go up in there and say, my dad never challenged me about this. I was never challenged about these topics. You're going to be challenged up in Whitaker Park. But a lot of people have never been challenged. So to the point that you made a while ago, Denzel, a lot of people just allow you to get away with saying, Wise is just a mean dude. He's just mean racist. And then they say, okay, fine. Wise is a mean
and
racist.
Repeat it. And they'll repeat it.
And we'll go print shirts on it and put it on blogs. Yep. And we'll never ask, how in the world did you conclude that Wise was being racist? Oh, well, he was racist because he didn't, he paid Jim Bob 12 cents more than he paid me. Boy, if you don't sit your dumb self down, but nobody ever challenges them, then nobody's ever asked, and they'll just go along with it and nod their head. And lo and behold, you done made hashtags and you got holidays built about Wise is a terrible person, but nobody's ever asked, what do you mean? So I always encourage people, you don't have to know the answers, just ask the questions.
Right. Excellent.
All right. I would agree with that, man. But I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning.
Sure, man.
We'll definitely try to get you guys on the channel later this week if you guys have some time. I definitely appreciate it.